Today's daf yomi is dedicated for Shemir for Am Yisrael, Hatzalah for the Shvuyim, Yeshua for the Chayalim, the eighth Sarah. And so today's daf yomi, we're going to start on the bottom of Yud Gimel of Beis, 2 lines from the bottom. The Gemara tells us, Tana Rabbanan, Harotze, L'davik Torah Nevi'im Ksuvim Ke'echad. So somebody who wants to combine the Torah, the Nevi'im, and the Ksuvim, the scrolls of the Torah, the prophets, and the writings into one book. You're allowed to do that. You can combine them, but you have to leave at the front of the Sefer one page in order to turn it around the Torah scroll. And around at the back, not just since the other writings of Tanakh, not the Torah, but the Tanakh, they don't have two poles, but they have one pole. You have to wrap it around the entire book and not just leave one page, but even more to go around the entire circumference of the scroll. And you conclude the scroll from the bottom, and when that happens, you could begin the next scroll, the next book at the top, and you don't have to wait 4 lines. Typically, between the books, you have to wait 4 lines. And if you want to cut one of the books out, you're allowed to do that. So the Gemara says, "My kamar, what do you mean that you're allowed to cut one of the books out? Of course, you can do that. You're allowed to write the books by themselves." So the Gemara says, "Hachi kamar, this is what it means. The reason why you should start at the top and don't wait lines is that if you want to cut one of the books out, you're allowed to cut it, and therefore it shouldn't start 4 lines down. It should start at the top." Gemara says, "But we have a contradiction. Sefer." The Sofo Kedei Lagul. At the end of the book also is the amount to start a new page to turn it around the pole. So Kedei Lagul, Kedei Lagul Amud. If it's around one pole, Kasha Hekef, then why does it say at the conclusion of the previous brisa that at the end you need to do around the circumference? And Kedei Lagul Hekef, and if you need to do around this circumference, kasha amud. Then what about the beginning, which says you need to do it around just one page around for the opening pole? So no, it means both. That if it's the beginning, you need to do enough for one pole, and if it is at the end, you need for the circumference. Rashi says no. Kitanya he Sefer Torah. No, that Bryce is referring to Sefer Torah, which Sefer Torah is different than the others farm, is that there's 2 eighths lambs. So you need one at the beginning and one at the end, and you basically need one column over at the beginning and one column over at the end. Kitanya Koas farm Nigla Mitchilas and so on. Sefer Torah Nigla. So all the other books of the Tanakh, it's one eighth lamb, so it's rolled from beginning to end, meaning to say that it's just rolled around one pole, whereas the Torah scroll is 2 poles, so you roll it to the middle. Also, Amar Eiluch Ve'elch, and on the Torah scroll, you do one pole at one taf, one Amar at the beginning, and one at the end. Amar Belazar Reb Tzadok, Kachayu Kosvei Sfarim Shabirushalayim Os in Sifraim. This is how the scholars, the scribes of Jerusalem would make their Torah scrolls. Torah Rabbanan Enos and Sefer Torah lo orko yoser al kefo lo kefo yoser al arko. You don't make a Torah scroll with its length greater than its circumference, nor with its circumference greater than its length. So shavuos means it's supposed to equal the circumference is supposed to equal the height of the Torah, which is an incredibly difficult thing to do. Shavuos Rebbe, so they asked Rebbe the question: Shir Sefer Torah B'kama, what is this amount? What should be the height here? How much is that supposed to be? Amar lahem b'gvil shisha. By gvil is a type of parchment where they just remove the outer layer of hair and then they write on it. That would be 6 tvachim high and 6 tvachim circumference. But kaf kama. But how much is it by the parchment? Parchment is basically where they remove more of the parchment at the top, not just the gvil. So how much would that be? Any odea. So he says, I don't know. Rafuna kasav shivin Sifrei Diraisa. Rav Huna wrote 70 Torah scrolls. Below it's Rami Way El Chad, but he only was able to arrange it one time like this. Rav Bar Yaakov Kasav Chad, he wrote one Torah scroll, Am Shechei De Igli, on calfskin, Rami Way, and it happened to him like this. Yavu Be Rabbanan Einayu. So the rabbis were put an INR on him. They were all looking at him. They were jealous. And he died. Amar Rabbanan Rav Hamnuna Kasav Rabbi Ami Dawin Meya Sifrei Torah. Rabbi Ami wrote 400 Sefer Torahs. Amar Lahu Dilma Torah Tziva Moshe Kasav. Maybe Maybe he didn't. It's so hard to imagine how he wrote 400 Sefer Torah. Maybe all he did was write the phrase Torah Tzivra Lona Moshe. Maybe he wrote that 400 times. Amalei Rabbi Zera Nata Rabbi Yami Arba Mea Karmi. So he said Rabbi Yami planted 400 vineyards. Amrole, man, we need to know what's a vineyard because we need to know how to, if you're supposed to go back for an exemption for more. Amrole, Dilma Shtayim Kineged Shtayim. It doesn't mean he made 400 vineyards that were humongous. He made 400 that were just two against two, and then one tail coming out. So he made 400 small vineyards. Mace face Igmar challenges what we said that Rebbe said that about the size of a Torah scroll. Because we learned Aaron Sha'asa Moshe Amasayim v'chetzi Arkov Amma v'chetzi Rachbo Amma v'chetzi Kuma. So the Torah scroll was 2.5 amos long, 1.5 amos wide, and 1.5 amos of height. So 2.5 amos long, 1.5 amos wide, and 1.5 amos of height. And there's how long is each amma? Amma ba'shisha tefachim, and each amma was 6 tefachim. So a tefach is approximately 3 to 4 inches. Luchos and the tablets were arkon shisha v'rachban shisha. The luchos, they were 6 tefachim long and 6 tefachim wide. V'avion shlosha, and their thickness was 3 tefachim. And the munachos kineged arko shel aron. They're placed lengthwise in the ark. And kama luchos, how much space do they take up? Ba'aron in the ark, shnei masar tefachim, 12 tefachim. Mishtari sham shlosha tefachim. So in the length, we have 3 tefachim left over. So same man tefach chatzil kosel zeh v'chatzil kosel zeh. So take out one tefach, half for this wall, half for that wall. Mishtar sham shnei tefachim shemen sefer Torah munach. There was 2 tefachim left for the Torah scroll to be placed in. It says Ein ba'aron rak shnei luchos avanim asher niach sham Moshe. So there was only in the ark 2 luchos of stones that Moshe placed there. Ma'im ba'aron rak. So it's a miut achar miut. It's a limitation after limitation. This is to include a Torah scroll that was placed in the ark. So the Gemara says, so fine, you explain the length of the aron, but say parnes aron arach. But what about the width? Kama luchos ochos ba'aron. How much do the luchos eat in the? How much space do they take up in the ark? Shisha tefachim, 6. Nishtar sham shlosha tefachim, so that we have left over 3 tefachim. Same man tefach chatzil kosel zeh chatzil kosel zeh. Half for this kosel and half for that kosel. And nishtar sham shnei tefachim. We have 2 tefachim left. Shelo yeh sefer Torah nechnas v'yotzei kishu dachot. Remember, we want Torah scroll to be able to go in and out without being too tight. That's Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Huda says be'emes, Rabbi Huda says be'ama bas chamisha tefachim. He says that an amma is not 6 tefachim but 5 tefachim. Luchos arkon shisha v'rachban shisha v'avion shlosha, and the luchos were 6 by 6 by 3. Munachos ba'arkos shel aron, placed in the ark. Kam luchos ochos ba'aron. How much did they take up in the length? Shnei masar tefachim, 12. Mishtar sham chatzi tefach etzvel kosel zeh etzvel kosel zeh. So there is left half a tefach, 1 for this wall, 1 for that wall. Pernazda aron l'arko tzeu pernes aron l'rachba. What about the width? Kamuchos ogdos baron shisha tefachim. So you have 6 tefachim on the width. Mishtayr sham tefach. So now you have 1 tefach left. You have tefach u'mechza left. Same man chatzi tefach etzba u'mechza kosel zeh etzba metzla kosel zeh. So you take half of a tefach left, which means you take a quarter of a tefach for each wall. Mishtayr sham tefach shabo. And so there is 1 tefach left, and what you put in that 1 tefach is a pole, and the poles that King Solomon made, these silver poles, as it says, Apirion also Amel Shlomo made Ze'alavon, that Solomon made these silver poles from the woods of the Lebanon, and Amudava sa Kesef Rafida So Zahav Merkavo Argaman. And so he made these poles out of silver for our guys, Shigru Bo Pushim, and the Philistines, when they were in a battle with the ark, they sent a box. And it was, as a gift, a Dorono K Israel, as a gift to the gods of Israel, Munach Mitzudo, and that was placed on the side of the ark. As it says, Vesklei Zahav Asher Ashevosimo Asher Ta Asham Tasimu Bargaz Mitido. Shilachtam so, and then what do you do with this? V'halav Sefer Torah Munach. About this, the Torah scroll is placed upon it. It says, V'koach Sefer Torah Azeh V'samdem Oso Mitzad Aron Bris Hashem. So they placed the the Torah scroll next to the ark, not in the ark. Umani Mekayim Ein Baron Rock. Why does it say rock there? That's the Rabbos. According to Rabbi Yehuda, what does it say? There was only in the ark rock as a luchos is to explain shivri luchos shemenachem Aaron. This includes the broken luchos that were also placed in the ark. So the ark, according to Rabbi Yehuda, the luchos and the broken luchos. So now we ask the question on Rebbe. If you say the Torah scroll, the circumference is 6 and the height is 6. Now we say everything that has a circumference of 3 has a diameter of has a diameter of 1. Even though MTU so niglo, but so in this case, the diameter of the Torah scroll should be 2. Because if the circumference is 6, it's going to take up a space of 2 tefachim. And since the Torah scroll is rolled with 2 poles, nafish lemitrei so since we're going to say that the Torah scroll is going to be a little bit greater, the Beni Beni, because when you have the space, it's going to be a little bit bigger than 2. If the circumference is 2, you're not going to be able to fit it in a space that's 2. Betray pushli in a place of 2 tefachim, how it'll be sitting. So Rav Bar Yaakov, Sefer Azar. Yes, so generally speaking, the Torah scroll has 2 poles, but the Sefer that was read in the courtyard of the temple, that was rolled only onto one pole, and so therefore it could fit into 2 tvachim. The Gemara says, if you have a space of 2 tvachim, you're not going to be able to fit it into a space of 2. So Amaravashi, the karpe porta, the karchilal. No, they rolled it a little bit and put it on top. Rabbi Yehuda, Mekmei Delesi, Argaz, Sefer, so according to Rabbi Yehuda, it says they put the Torah scroll on the box of the Philistines that was next to it. Well, before they got that box of the Philistines, where did they put it? So he says, there was a daf, there was a page, a board that was coming out from the ark, and the Yasafilo Sefer Torah, and they put the Torah scroll on it. Rameir Haketzad, Rameir Hamitzad Aaron Maya. So Rabbi Meir, who says that the Torah was placed inside the ark, what does he do with the fact that it says Mitzad Aaron on the side? When we by the misnach mitzad hu misnach bnei luchei. So he says that's to teach us that it was placed on the side, on the inside side. It was on the inside side, but not in between the tablets. So where did Rabbi Meir put the poles from Solomon? Mivarai, they were outside on the other side of they were inside the ark, but outside on the outer parts. And how does Rabbi Meir know the broken tablets were placed in the ark? It says that about David, it says that we're called there the name of Hashem. So it says, what does that mean? The ark and the broken ark tablets were placed in the ark. Look at Rabbi Yochanan. What does Rabbi Yehuda do with that? He learns like Rabbi Yochanan. It says, that the name of God and also all of the nicknames of God were placed in the ark. But what does Rabbi Meir do with that pasuk? He says, I learned from that to tell us. Tana Rav Yosef, Asher Shibarta. So this teaches us that the tablets and the broken tablets were placed in the ark. What does Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai teach us? From the fact that it says Asher Shibarta. What do we do with the pasuk that says Asher Shibarta? Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Moshe Yasher Kochacha Shibarta. To tell us, he says, good job, Yasher Kochacha. Good job that you broke the tablets. And you might have thought Moshe did something wrong when he broke the tablets, but he's telling us Yasher Kochacha Shibarta. It's a good job that you broke the tablets. That to be able to break your life's work and start again, that is the Yasher Kocha. Tana Rabbanan Sildren Shalnavim. Yoshua v'Shoftim. So what's the order of the books of the prophets, the way they're written in the scroll? So first we go Yoshua, then Shoftim, then Shmuel, then Malachim, then Yirmiyahu, then Yechezkel, then Yeshaya. Vishnei Masar, and then the 12 minor prophets. So the Gemara says, Milti Hosea, the first of these 12 Treyasar prophets, since Hosea Kadim, since he came first, except Tchilas Diber Hashem Hosea, or Tchilas Diber Hashem Hosea, that God first spoke to Hosea. Well, if that's the case, Hosea diber. Did God speak with Hosea first? Follow me, Moshe Hosea, Kama Neviim. But from Moshe to Hosea was many prophets. How you? Rabbi Yochanan Shayatchilu Arba Neviim. No, Hosea was the first of the four prophets in Nevu Ba'usa Perak. He was the first of the four prophets that prophesied at that time. And who were these? Hosea, Yeshaya, Amos, and Micha. Gemara says, "Look to me, Hosea Bereisha. Why don't they put Hosea first?" So the Gemara says, "Well, Kivan." Meaning to say, why doesn't Hosea come before Yirmiyahu, Yechazkel, and Yeshaya? So he says, Kivan dechsev nuvuase gabe Chagai Zechariah Malachi. Since it was placed in a book, his prophecy was written next to Chagai Zechariah Malachi, Chagai Zechariah Malachi, Sof Neviim Havu, Chashavei Ba'adayo. So since Chagai Zechariah Malachi were written at the end of the prophecy, it was collected with them. So the Gemara says, why doesn't it write it by itself? Look to me, and then it would go before them. So the Gemara says, no, I did the Zuter because it's small or Mirkas. We're worried if it was written by itself, it would be lost. The Gemara says, well, another question. Milchti Yeshaya, Kadami Yirmiyahu, Yechazkel, and Yechazkel looked at me Yeshaya Bereisha. Yeshaya comes before Jeremiah and Yechazkel, so it should be written first. Mor says no. Given the Moachab Sofei Churban, since at the end of the Book of Kings is about the destruction of the temple, the Yirmiyahu Kul Churban, and Jeremiah is entirely about destruction. Yechazkel Reisha Churban was safe in Nechemta, and the Ezekiel is the beginning of destruction and ends with comfort. Yeshaya Kul Nechemta, and Isaiah was entirely about comfort. We place the Churban next to the Churban, and the destruction next to the destruction, and the comfort next to the comfort. So Mor says Sidron Shel Ksuvim. The order of the book of Ksuvim of the writings was first Ruth, then Sefer Tehillim, then Eov, then Mishlei, then Kohelet, then Shir Hashirim, the Kinos and Zeicha, then Daniel, Megillas Esther, and then Ezra and Divrei Yamim. Gemara says, "Ulmanda Amar was. We'll learn about this on tomorrow's daf. That Eov bin named Moshe Haya, according to the one who says that Eov was in the time of Moses. Likdamei Eov Bereisha. They should have put Job first. The Gemara says, "Aslu b'Purana Salom Matzluan." We don't put bad news first. Rus Nami Paranosi. Rus is also a book of bad news it starts with. So Gemara says, yeah, but Paranios the Islayach Ras. No, but in the end of the book of Rus, we have good news. The Amar, as we said, the Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Amane Krashma Ruth, Shiyatzim Menatava. Why is it called Ruth? Because David came from Mersha, Rivo HaKadosh Baruch Hu B'Shiras V'Tishbachos, and he praised God with songs and praise. Umi Kasvan. So now, who wrote all these books? That'll be tomorrow's daf. We'll go into who wrote all these books.